All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into this month's power rankings, but before we do, I have an urgent announcement, an urgent request. There's no easy way to say this. Please stop saying I look like this man. Me and this man look nothing alike. We share zero similarities. We share some similarities, but we do not look alike. I look much better. We look nothing alike. All right, guys, let's get right into it. This month's edition of my NBA Power Rankings. They're a little slightly late, but they're here nonetheless. Damn it. You guys know the drill at this point. I have broken these teams into tiers. Each team is ranked within the tier. So this is a 30-1 ranking. I am just really kind of accounting the last month of basketball. And every now and then, if I need a tiebreaker or I'm trying to figure out where to put a team, I will consider their season as a whole and just sort of the future outlook of that team. It was an interesting month of basketball, to say the least. Let's just get right into it. The sad bad tier. We had a team graduate from this tier and a couple of teams enter, and I no longer think the Detroit Pistons are the worst team in basketball. That's right. I have the Charlotte Hornets here. If you were to do like a toilet madness bracket, like very similar to a March Madness, except the team that loses is the one that moves on, I think the Hornets would be the last team standing. I think they'd be the team with the most damp diaper there is. After the game last night, Steve Clifford was pretty much like, yeah, they're trying their hardest, but god damn it, these guys just suck. And I'm paraphrasing, but not by much. I mean, he pretty much verbatim said that. The Washington Wizards fired Wes Unseld Jr. Brian Keefe steps in, a well-respected guy across the league. Kevin Durant loves them. They're friends. They're guys. That's his guy, Kevin Durant. They've won 2 straight games whenever Brian Keefe stepped in. 2 of their 3 wins this month came in their last 3 games. Looks like Bilal Coulibaly is going to get a bit of a minute jump here since Keefe took over. Denny Avdia's seen his minutes go down since Keefe took over. So that's something to keep in mind as we head towards the trade deadline, which is in a week from today. And the Pistons still find themselves in this tier. However, they've been playing better basketball lately, and I do not think they're the worst team in the league. Even when they were on their prolonged losing streak, it just did not make much sense to me that they were losing that many games. And really, since the Mike Muscala trade, I mean, it sounds insane, but they've been playing better, like just having shooters on the floor and guys who can space the floor. Muscala and Ivy together have a 36 net rating, a plus 36 net rating, granted in only 30 minutes. Muscala as a whole is plus 17.5 when he plays. So it just goes to show this team needs some shooting, and hopefully this is an eye-opener for a front office. Hey, guys, it's 2024. You might want shooters. You might want some shooters on the roster. But, you know, some props to the Pistons. They're playing some inspired basketball lately, even though they are still bad. The next tier just features one team. This is the would be the worst team any other year tier. And the Trailblazers could very easily find themselves in the sad bad tier, except I do think that they have a little bit more talent than those teams below them, and they have some admittedly kind of impressive wins. Like they just beat the Bucks last night in what was a pretty impressive game with some pretty impressive moments down the stretch. They're 30th in net rating, however, over the month of January, 30th in offensive rating. And just to put into perspective how bad it was, they had a 106 offensive rating in the month. The Clippers, who had the best offense in the league during January, had a 127 net rating. They were 21 points better. 21 points better. All right, the next tier, the fun, bad tier. The San Antonio Spurs have graduated into this tier due in large part to Victor Wembanyama. I mean, they're still pretty bad. They're still pretty terrible as a team. But Victor Wembanyama in January, 24 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, 60% true shooting, 3.3 blocks per game, all while playing on a minute restriction. All while playing around 25 minutes per game. Now, very recently, his minute restriction has been bumped up to 30. But before that, he was at 25 minutes per game, averaging those stats. Just insane. And it's crazy because I feel like the season kind of started and everyone was hyped about Wembanyama, and it was kind of obvious early that the Spurs are going to be trash, and Victor Wembanyama was good and had some impressive moments, but it wasn't as great as we all thought. So people kind of started sleeping on the Spurs and stopped paying attention. This guy is a fucking nightmare. I'm telling you right now, you heard it from me. If this guy's healthy over the course of his career, it's going to be very hard to beat them. Okay? This is a smart organization in San Antonio. They're going to build out a roster around him. They're going to be a nightmare. I'm just warning you now. The Raptors find themselves in this tier, unfortunately. They are 2-9 in their last 11. However, they've been incredibly injured. Obviously, they traded away OG. They traded away Siakam. So we expected them to be bad. But they have been just completely and totally destroyed by injuries, which is just unfortunate for them. RJ Barrett, over his last 10 games, 22.6 points per game, 61% true shooting. That's good to see. It looks like RJ Barrett's really starting to blossom in Toronto. And how about Jordan Nwora? 11 points per game on 69% true shooting in his 4 games as a member of the Toronto Raptors. Now, that's clearly not going to hold, but hey, some signs of life there. That's fun. Their offense has been pretty solid. It's just their defense, which looks absolutely abhorrently bad. and will probably only get worse as time goes on. Except when Jakob Poeltl comes back, it might improve a little bit. In closing out this tier, we do have the Memphis Grizzlies, who I got to give them a ton of credit, man. This team plays hard as shit. No team in the league has been more injured than them. They could have very easily just rolled over and died. But they go 8-7 in the month of January, thanks in large part to having the 7th best defense in the league over that stretch. Unfortunately, they did have the 4th worst offense in the league over that stretch. But I want to shout out Vince Williams Jr., who looks like a real legitimate NBA player. In fact, I'll go as far as to say he's one of the best defenders in the NBA right now. I kind of felt that way whenever the Grizzlies played the Mavericks earlier in the year. I thought he did a good job against Luka, even though Luka went off and Luka was talking some trash afterwards. But just watching this Grizzlies team, he's legit. I mean, he is as serious as they come as a perimeter defender. So I'm interested to see how his career plays out whenever this team gets healthier and they go into next season with ambitions of a winner. All right, the next tier is the Atlanta Hawks tier. These are teams that are clearly trending in the wrong direction, and the tires feel like they are about to fall off at any given moment. The Brooklyn Nets, a very confusing team, only 4 wins in the month of January, but 4 like kind of impressive wins. They shellacked the Thunder, they shellacked the Jazz, they shellacked the Lakers. Like some wins were like, okay, like what is this team exactly? But then some just disgusting, disastrous performances. I'm kind of shocked that Jacques Vaughn still has a head coaching job currently, but he does nonetheless. This team is a week away from the trade deadline, and I imagine they're going to look incredibly different the next time we do one of these. And the Atlanta Hawks find themselves in their own tier. How about that? Just playing mediocre basketball over a month stretch when you dug yourself this deep of a hole, not great. They're 7 games below 500. Obviously, we all know the DeJounte Murray stuff. I would be very shocked if he's on this team in a week. They're just like the Nets in that they're a below average to even bad team at times, and I would be shocked if their team looked even remotely close to anything similar to the way they looked right now a week from now. And I posted my trade deadline prediction video yesterday. Make sure you guys go check it out. Oh, I had them blowing it the fuck up. I mean, blowing it up like the Death Star. The next tier is the mid-tier presented by the Chicago Bulls. We have the Orlando Magic here, who had a great start to the season, but they have fallen off quite a bit lately. Granted, they have been incredibly injured, unfortunately for them. 6-10 in the month of January with the 6th worst offense. It's just hard to win in the NBA these days with an offense like this that just doesn't have a lot of great on-ball creators, and just they don't have the shooting. It's a real problem for them. Their defense is still incredible, and they still have stretches where when they turn it on, it is a sight to see. They beat the Phoenix Suns a couple of days ago, and their defense in the fourth quarter was just smothering. I mean, it was so incredibly fun to watch. They still force more turnovers than any team in the NBA. I hope they get healthy. You know, I want to see them in the play, and I want to see them maybe in a playoff series. I feel like they'll be like, I think there'd be a 4 or 5 game series against one of the top seeds in the East, but I don't think it'd be a fun series for those top seeded teams. The Houston Rockets, kind of similar to the Magic. They've fallen off quite a bit since their hot start. Still in position to be in the play-in tournament, which would be, I think, a huge step in the right direction for them. 7-10 in January. But there's some real positives for this team. Jalen Green, in his last 5 games, nearly 30 points per game on 51% shooting. He has shown some very bright flashes over the last couple of weeks. And Cam Whitmore, who finally started to get some real serious playing time during the month, 13 points per game in January on 40% from 3 on 5 attempts. Does he pass the ball? No, he doesn't pass the ball, but he's a bucket. And at the end of the day, the game is about a bucket. So even though the record has fallen off a little bit for the Rockets, I think there's some stuff there as a fan that you have to feel excited about. In fact, some of these things I would sacrifice some wins for to see Cam Whitmore get some shine and to see him play well, to see Jalen Green show those flashes that we thought he was capable of. The Bulls do round out this tier here. They just quietly play some really solid basketball. I don't know the future direction of this team. Obviously, just in the long term, I think it makes sense to sell off those older assets you have right now in an effort to get some youth in the building and to just kind of retool, maybe not rebuild, but retool. As of the time I'm recording this, Kobe White dropped 35 points last night, and his sort of ascension, and I don't know, this guy could win Most Improved Player. It's definitely a possibility, but his rise has sort of masked how good Ayo Dosunmu has been lately. In January, 13 points per game, 64% true shooting, nearly a block per game, nearly a steal per game, playing great defense, scoring. His confidence looks higher than it's ever been at any point in his career, really. I mean, this was the guy who had a great rookie season out of nowhere, then a kind of a terrible sophomore slump, and we just kind of thought, oh, this guy just might not be very good. But he's been playing really well lately, so shout out to him. All right, this next tier of teams, these are the teams I'm a little bit scared to say that they might be mid, but they really might be mid. And these teams are more of like a vibe. It's more of a vibe check thing with these teams, like the Lakers. Obviously, they're talented. They have maybe the greatest player in the history of the sport, not in his prime anymore, but still playing really good basketball. Anthony Davis playing some of the best basketball of his life, yet they just can't fucking win games. It's just insane. They had the 22nd best defense in the month of January. 22nd best. I feel like I should be saying 8th worst. They're not a team built to win on the back of their offense. So their defense needs to be better than that. And things are just fishy there. I'm telling you, I feel something in the water with them. I don't want to predict LeBron James gets traded, but it wouldn't surprise me. At 17, it is the Golden State Warriors who had the worst defense in the NBA in the month of January. They're just losing some heartbreaking, soul-crushing games. And since Draymond Green has come back, 5 games, here's his plus-minus in those 5 games. +1, +19, +14, +31, +18. What makes it even worse? They are 2-3 in those 5 games. So Draymond Green's come back and has been incredibly impactful with this group, but they're still losing games. Now, if you've been watching the Warriors, they don't look terrible. Like, they look like a good team that's just losing close games, but unfortunately, they've dug themselves a pretty deep hole, and the trade deadline is a week away. So I'm very interested to see what they do. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just stood pat and just pray that they start winning some games and guys get healthy. That would probably be the most likely outcome, but interesting nonetheless. And then closing out this year, we have the Miami Heat. I'll always give them the benefit of the doubt, but damn, they had a rough month. A rough month. The 4th worst net rating in the entire NBA over that month. Their offense has looked horrible. They lost 7 straight games. Bam, it looks like, has ran into a wall just because they've relied so heavily on him. Jimmy Butler looks completely checked out in some of the games that he plays. It's the classic Jimmy Butler regular season shenanigans. Tyler Hero fluctuates between looking great and looking terrible. Terry Rozier looks like he's still trying to get his legs under him. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they are the Miami Heat. They do have Eric Spoelstra, and they are a talented team. I think that they'll figure it out over time. But damn, it was a rough month of basketball for them. A rough month. Again, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they're the Heat. All right, the next group of teams, good with fatal flaws. These are teams that are good. These are teams that are playoff hopefuls and playoff contenders and teams that could maybe even win a playoff series, but there's just something about them that is preventing them from really taking that next step as a team. How about the Utah Jazz, who spent the better part of January as one of the hottest teams in the NBA, going 10-6 in the month, despite the fact that they are 2-5 in their last 7, so they're kind of crashing back down to earth a little bit. But how about Colin Sexton, man? He's been tremendous over the past 2 months. 20.5 points per game over the last 2 months of basketball. 62% true shooting lights out. Colin Sexton, young bull. This is a Utah Jazz team that is incredibly well coached. Their offense is incredibly fun to watch when they get it going, and a home crowd that is rocking. When that crowd gets into it, it's not a fun place to play at. Next up, the Sacramento Kings. I know it feels like I hate the Sacramento Kings. I know it feels like I'm hard on the Sacramento Kings. I just feel uninspired a lot of the times when I watch them. I still have them 14th. I think that they're a very solid playoff contending team. Sabonis was absolutely incredible over the last month. Damn near averaging a 20-point triple-double, 20.8 points per game, 14.5 rebounds, 9 assists per game. I mean, he's been otherworldly, but he's had to be because his 2 main guards have been fucking terrible. Malik Monk in January, 13.6 points per game, 52% true shooting. Not good enough. De'Aaron Fox, 22.5 points per game, 53% true shooting. And not only that, De'Aaron Fox looks lethargic. I don't know what's going on with him. He looks like he does not want to be out there. I hope everything's all right with him. Even with those 2 not playing well, they went 8-7 in the month. Keegan Murray's looked really good. Signs of life from Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter. And they had the 18th best defense. So you could look at it as a Kings fan and say, all right, when De'Aaron Fox gets back going and Malik Monk get back going, like, we're going to be good. This is going to be a good basketball team. You just have to hope it happens. Next up, I have the Pelicans, the most up and down team in the league. One night, they blow somebody out by 30 points. You're like, holy shit, this Pelicans team, when they get it going. Then they'll lose 3 straight games and collapse in the 4th quarter in all of them or something, and you'll just think to yourself, what the fuck did I just watch? Next up, the Dallas Mavericks. This might seem high for them. I don't give a shit. I'm going to die on this hill right here. Whenever you start to look at all of these teams and you really start to break them down, it just goes to show how the teams in this group right here, this like middle of the league group, not a lot separates them. Each team has their own significant weakness and flaw. In the Mavericks case, it's just horrible injuries. They went 7-8 in the month of January. What was a rough month, but my God, they've just been destroyed by injuries this group has. And I'll keep falling back on this. Luka, Kyrie, and Lively, when they're on the floor together, that trio is +10 net rating. That's good. That's really good. That's taking care of business. The problem is they don't fucking play. One of them's hurt. 2 of them's hurt. In the case of last night against the Timberwolves, 3 of them hurt. Luka in January, 37 points per game. 9 rebounds per game, 10.5 assists on 61% true shooting. Jesus Christ. Kyrie, a 5-game stretch without Luka. Kyrie Irving, 37.5 points per game. Really kind of carried the load. God, can this team please get healthy, man? Please. I don't ask for much. I just ask for this and a lot of other stuff. Next, you have the Indiana Pacers, who I kind of wanted to have creep a little bit higher than this. The only problem is they've also been dealing with a lot of injuries lately. But since the Siakam trade, they have a +12 net rating when Siakam is on the floor and a +30 net rating when Siakam and Halliburton share the floor together. Granted, it's only been 41 minutes. So we haven't seen that duo on the court as much as we would have hoped because Haliburton's been dealing with that hamstring injury. Hopefully, right, he recovers and he's ready to go. He's on a minute restriction right now, just came back. Let's keep our fingers crossed because that duo has been very, very fun to watch, and I'm interested to see how the rest of the season plays out with them. And rounding out this year, I have the Sixers. I mean, that sounds harsh. I do think this team could compete for a championship if Embiid was healthy and if they did make a move between now and the trade deadline, and they could definitely do those things, and this team won't be here a month from now. But the reality is what's Embiid's knee looking like? Like, what are we getting here? He's been clearly not 100%. I was very upset at the Sixers on Saturday for ruling out Embiid minutes before the game started. The reason why I was so pissed off at that was because he wasn't on the injury report. And as somebody who watched the Sixers play the Pacers a few nights before, Embiid hurt his knee in the second quarter of that game, and they kept him in the game so he could get 30 points. I'm not a fucking idiot. That's exactly what happened. Anyone watching the game could tell that's exactly why Joel Embiid stayed in a game that was a blowout win for the Pacers, and a blowout pretty much the entire game. So I don't know, man. If Embiid misses extended time, this is bad news for the Sixers. If Embiid is not ready to come back and be 100%, that's also terrible news for the Sixers. So I don't know. I have them here right now just because I can't put them with the other teams I think could be legit contenders as long as I don't know what's going on with Embiid. It's impossible to do that. All right, our next tier is the bus crash contenders. These teams right here, they would need something bad to happen to the teams ahead of them to really have a chance to win. Would I be shocked if these teams won it all at the end? A little bit, but I wouldn't be like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? Let's start with the Milwaukee Bucks. This might seem low for them. Is it, though? They went 8-8 in January. They did fire Adrian Griffin. They obviously brought in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has coached, what is it, two or three games? I think they've lost both of them. Just think about this, right? The teams ahead of Milwaukee, can you comfortably say that the Bucks are better than them? I don't think I can. We're supposed to just believe their defense is going to turn it around. Why? Like with this same personnel, if they go out and make trades, okay, maybe. But I'm supposed to just believe this defense is going to magically get better? You have one of the worst big-minute defenders in the history of the sport, or at least the recent history of the sport, and Damian Lillard. I don't care saying that. It's true. I think the hope with the new coaching change is that the offense will be much better and will reach a point where it's pretty much unguardable and unstoppable because you have Damian Lillard and Giannis. But they're a little disappointing. I know the record is great, but I don't leave Bucks games feeling like, oh, yeah, that's the team right there. That is a team to beat. I never feel that, ever. I know I'm being really, really harsh, but I'm just being brutally honest. Next up is the Phoenix Suns, who had the 4th best net rating in the month of January, the 2nd best offense, the 10th best defense. So they're really starting to get into form here, and their starting 5 has a net rating of plus 12. So when they play and they're healthy, they're a really, really good team. Fourth quarter stuff, it feels like it's gotten a little bit better, too, over the last few weeks for the Phoenix Suns. And if they figure that stuff out, they're going to be a very difficult team to beat. Obviously, we know with them, this whole entire thing is health. When they're healthy, it looks good. But can we count on this group to be healthy for a hard-fought playoff series 3 months from now? That's the ultimate question. Here's where I put the Timberwolves. They've dropped a little bit for me, but nothing too crazy. You know, it wasn't the most impressive month for them. They went 10-7. They went 2-3 in the 5 games that Mike Conley missed. That's a big concern, I think. They really need to do everything they can to find a point guard at the trade deadline. The problem is, I don't know who that guy is going to be with the trade assets that they have. It's a problem for them moving forward unless Anthony Edwards takes like a real legitimate playmaking leap, which is possible. This month of Timberwolves basketball for me will just be remembered as a month of fourth quarter collapses. A collapse in the fourth quarter against the Mavericks, a collapse against the Celtics, a collapse against the Thunder, that hilarious collapse against the Hornets when Cat dropped 62 points in a loss, a collapse in the fourth quarter against the Spurs. Just some things that they really need to work out, and some signs of being a young, kind of inexperienced team, even though you look at the roster, it's not really that young. It's not compared to like some of the other really young teams in the league, like the Thunder. But just some moments in the fourth where there's just some brain dead turnovers, some horrible shots, Karl Anthony Towns barreling into 6 people, like just some stuff that they need to work on, and some stuff that they just need to tone it down. Like that's it. They don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to tone it the fuck down a few pegs, and they'll be really, really hard to beat because their defense is smothering. It is disgustingly good. Next up is the Cavs. I mean, how can we ignore them much longer? 11-2 in the month of January, despite the fact that Evan Mobley played 2 games. Darius Garland played 1 game. The second best defense in the league during the month. Donovan Mitchell, 28.6 points per game, 60% true shooting, 7.5 assists in January, just playing out of his mind. And this is the thing with the Cavs. This is who they were last year too, where they were great in the regular season and all the advanced analytics absolutely loved them. Now let's just see if they can translate that to postseason success. I would love for them to. I like this group. I like this team a lot. I think they are fun to watch. They're well coached. Even though I know a lot of Cavs fans don't like Bickerstaff, but you got to give the coaching staff a ton of props when a team this injured is playing this well. That's just the reality. Closing out this tier, we do have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are showing the trademarks of a great team. Why do I say that? They didn't play their best basketball over the past month. They've had a couple of things go wrong for them. J-Dub's going to miss some time with an ankle injury, unfortunately. Chet has kind of slammed into a rookie wall, even though he had I think 5 blocks in the game last night against the Nuggets. Lou Dort has gone into a horrible shooting slump. Shea has been clearly dealing with some type of lingering knee injury that scares me a little bit. Not 100%, maybe like 80 to 85%, but not 100%. And even then, 11-6 on the month with the 8th best net rating. So they're still winning games. They're still figuring out a way to win games. I'm just so interested to see what they do at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy, but man, it feels like they could really solidify themselves in a real serious way between now and next Thursday. I'm interested to see how it all plays out. I still love this Thunder team. The next team is a new tier I made up called the wait, what tier? What do we do with the New York Knicks? Who are they? Over the past month, they've been better than the teams I just listed below them, and you could even make the argument that they've been better than the teams that are ahead of them. But do I put them in the real serious contender tier? 14-2 in January. They have a plus 25.2 net rating when OG is on the floor. Net rating, like they're not plus 25. They are plus 25 per 100 possessions when OG is on the floor with a 100 defensive rating. Just unheard of how good they've been since that trade. Can this team make like a real push? I mean, that's the questions I have now. And what's crazy is they can still make a trade between now and the trade deadline. And Julius Randle's missed some time lately. And they're still winning games. And they still look really good. And Mitchell Robinson could come back even. I don't know, man. Maybe it's disrespectful to not have the Knicks in that top tier. What do you guys think? I'm interested to hear your opinions in the comment section below. All right, this last tier right here, the true contender tier, the Denver Nuggets, they just have that look about them. I know it's an easy cop-out. It's a dumb thing to say. It just looks like they can take over games whenever they want. I know they've had some stinker performances here and there, but I'm still going to bet on them. I just want to gush about Aaron Gordon really quickly. Watching that Thunder game last night, fuck, he's so good, man. Aaron Gordon is just an incredible player. Like, seriously. Oh, Aaron Gordon. I have the Celtics at 2 now. They're still a great team. KP had a little scary ankle injury, but he was able to come back miraculously. This blood magic. KP would have missed fucking 4 months on the Mavericks if he was with Dallas. He would have missed 4 months with that ankle injury. They're still a great team. I mean, there's not much else to say about them except I kind of feel like the Clippers are the best team in the league right now. It might seem a little bit reactionary, but this is 2 months of just really dominant basketball, performing at the highest level, and watching them play. They're playing a brand of basketball that will easily translate to the playoffs and will be an absolute nightmare to stop in a postseason series. They had the best offensive rating in the NBA over the month with a 127 rating. I mean, that's just fucking insane. And they went into Boston, a place that for most of the season has been impossible to win at, and just curb stomped the Celtics. I mean, and pulled their pants down and spanked them, embarrassed them, just like outclassed them. I mean, it was shocking to watch happen. So maybe it's a bit reactionary, but I don't know, man. This Clippers team could easily win the finals. Easily, if they're healthy. That's the big thing with them. All right, let me know what you guys think. Where was I wrong? Where was I right? I know there's a lot of right, not a lot of wrong. Get the fuck out of here!